Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing my George Harrison record collection. And the first one I'll begin with is All Things Must Pass. And this is the 50th anniversary edition. And I do love the changes they made with like a hue of dark green on the back with the trees and also the text right there. Here's the spine. That says 50th anniversary right there. Nothing on the other side, and I got this used from a store, and yeah, it's not kind of beaten up in some places, but everything is still inside. So it's a good replica of the original. On this side you have all the titles of the songs and people who worked on it, the songs. Here's record 1. This is on the orange label. I do love that it also comes in polyline sleeves. And then get record 2 out. Also orange Apple label. And the final disc are the Apple Jams. And it has a unique label. Also included is a poster, which I'll show in a minute. But here is the small booklet it comes with. And you could pause or zoom in if you're on a mobile device to read what it all says. Which I don't think there's much text on this one. Let me focus. Do love that picture. Donnie and Paul Hicks. And all the information on the album. I think it's a conversation between Paul Hicks and Donnie Harrison. And then the back, more information. And the cool thing about this album, let me try to get these out, is that it also came with replicas of the original sleeves, which I do love that. Along with the polyline sleeves, they also included this. Each different color for side 1 and 2. And then the Apple Jams. And I know there are like a 5-disc edition and an 8-disc edition which were released, but I think that's too much for me. So I think the standard album was a good choice. And here is the poster that was included, and it's just George, I guess behind a doorway or window. I do love this picture, and I think this is a replica of the original, and there's nothing on the back. So on to the next album I have to show. The next album I have to show is another copy of All Things Must Pass, but as you can see, it's in horrible condition. This is an original, and yeah, this part's cut off, and as you can see, it's not a box anymore. It's super flat. It's tape on the back as well, and the discs themselves are the same with orange on the first 2 and unique Apple Jam label. So I'm not going to go into detail on that, and I hopefully I do find a better original pressing in the future. Also, only 2 out of the 3 inner sleeves are here, and also the poster is obviously missing. So yeah, hopefully I do find a better one in the future. And now on to the next album. The next album I have to show is the Concert for Bangladesh, which recently it did officially come out on streaming. So here's the cover, and this is not in the best shape. Yeah, this just comes off. And I did have another copy, but that one didn't come with the booklet, so I decided to just get this one. And all the records were housed in these brown sleeves. blank on the back. I think there's supposed to be text on the side, but mine's missing that part. So I'll quickly show the contents of the book. Also, there's like stains and stuff, but it's still intact. And again, you could zoom in to read all the information. I do love those pictures. So pictures from Bangladesh, the first song that I played with Ravi Shankar. And then pictures associated with the intermission. And then we move on to Wawa. And here's George, very nice pictures of him. My Sweet Lord, Waiting on You All. That's the Way God Planned It, played by Billy Preston. And Ringo's It Don't Come Easy, and I do love these pictures of Ringo. And then Beware of Darkness. And then this is when George introduces people playing in the concert. While my guitar gently weeps. Jumpin' Jack Flash. More pictures. Young Blood. Here Comes the Sun. And then Bob Dylan comes in and plays A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. You can barely see anything here. It Takes a Lot to Laugh. Blowing in the Wind. Mr. Tambourine Man. And I also do love this picture. I believe this picture was used for, I don't know if it was his first greatest hits or the second one. But I think this is the cover. And the full picture is him with George. Then Just Like a Woman. Something. I do love the purple lighting. And the last song is Bangladesh. And here's all the information. And here's the back of the booklet. There are 3 records included in the set, and they all have the same label with the first half of the cover and then all the songs right there. The next album I have to show is George Harrison's Living in a Material World. And here's the front cover. I think it's of his hand. And the back. And some information on the bottom. And this is a gatefold. And I don't know if there were some pressings where the insert was like glued onto it, but my copy has it like that for some reason. I don't know the person who originally had it just glued it there. So I can't show the pictures on the gatefold or the back of this insert, but it's interesting. And similar to the previous album I showed, this is in the brown inner sleeve. I don't know if that was how it was originally. And here's a label for side 1 and side 2. The next album I have to show is George Harrison's Dark Horse. And here's the cover. Very interesting. And I do love this picture of George on the back. Like some fur boots. And here's the gatefold. There's like a story that goes all around and onto the side. And here's the inner sleeve it came with the songs. And while Living in a Material World was a good follow-up to All Things Must Pass, I think this is not that good of an album to me. Our Far East Man is a pretty good. I can't recall any of the other ones. And I do like the song Dark Horse, but for some reason George recorded this while having a sore throat, so his voice sounds very raspy. So the song I do have on my music library is his version, the one he recorded live in Japan. So yeah, I did wish he re-recorded that or something. And I believe this should also include a lyric sheet, but mine didn't come with it. And I almost forgot to show the labels for Dark Horse, which are pretty unique. So for side one, you do have George peeking over the label right there, and then side two, you have his wife Olivia peeking as well. So the next album I have to show is Extra Texture, and my copy I believe is a UK copy. The US copy does have the extra texture popped out, and you can see the inner sleeve from outside, or you can flip it around. I do love this picture of George. So I kind of wish I did have the US one, but this one's still pretty cool. And just like the title says, there is extra texture, and you could kind of see it through the camera. And I do love this embossed thing right there. And this album to me is worse than his previous one, Dark Horse. Used pretty good. This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying is a sequel to While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Those are the only songs I could recall. I think Can't Stop Thinking About You is also pretty good, but other than that, the album is pretty bland. And here's the label for Extra Texture, and it's pretty unique. I love how it's a bit of an apple. So here's side one and side two, and it just shows stuff inverted. So the next album I have to show is 33 1/3, and I believe this was the first George Harrison album I ever got, and I do love this cover, and I do love the album. I think it's a pretty good step up from his previous two. And here's the back. So, Woman Don't You Cry For Me, Dear One, Beautiful Girl. This song, which is I think about him being sued for My Sweet Lord sounding like another song. I think it was He's So Fine. I Can't Recall See Yourself. It's What You Value Is Good. True Love. Cracker Box Palace, I Don't Recall. Pure Smoky. Learning How to Love You is also pretty good. So yeah, it's pretty great album. I do love the pictures included. Right there, then picture of George on the other side. And here is the inner sleeve. It's pretty solid. So here's the first side, and the back is just the lyrics. And I believe this was the first record under George's label, Dark Horse. So let's move on to the next one. So the next album I have to show is George Harrison's, I guess, self-titled album. It's an interesting picture of George on the cover, and a great picture on the back. And this one is also a pretty great album. Love Comes to Everyone, Not Guilty, which was originally going to be on the White Album. Here Comes the Moon, which is kind of a sequel to obviously Here Comes the Sun. Soft Hearted, Hannah is good. Blow Away, Faster, which I think is about George's fascination with racing. Dark Sweet Lady, Your Love Is Forever, Soft Touch, and If You Believe. Also included was this inner sleeve. Sorry about the stain right there, but yeah, there's lyrics faster on this side, and the back, all the rest of the songs right there. And on to the next album. And the next album I have to show is Somewhere in England, and I prefer the cover that is shown on streaming. I believe that was an alternate cover, or if it was released in some countries, I'm not sure, but this one's just alright. The one with George's head, and then I think it was England being shown, the map of England. I think I would prefer that, but I do love this picture on the back. And this is also a pretty solid album. I think the most well-known one from here is All Those Years Ago, which was written for John, which he was, I think, murdered a year before this album was released. And I believe Paul and Ringo do appear. And here's the inner sleeve. An interesting picture of George. And then the other side. So on to the next one. The next album I have to show is George Harrison's Gone Troppo. And I believe this is considered George's first album. It is a pretty dumb cover right there. And the back. And here are the songs, which are something. Here's the inner sleeve. I think I did love some of these songs, but I can't recall which ones. Circles was also one for the White Album, and it does come out in the Easter demos. So that's a pretty good song. Then the back. And I've been forgetting to show the labels for all the other albums, but they've been the same with the Dark Horse label. So yeah, the other side. And so let's move on to the next one. The next album I have to show is George Harrison's Cloud 9, and this is also a pretty silly cover, but I think the album itself is very good. So yeah, the title track, That's What It Takes, Fish on the Sand, Just for Today. This Is Love, When We Was Fab, which is George reminiscing of his times with the Beatles. Devil's Radio, Someplace Else, Wreck of Hesperus, Breath Away from Heaven, and of course Got My Mind Set on You. I do love that picture with the guitar and the jacket over it. And here's the inner sleeve with all the pictures of the artists involved. The back is like an alternate shot from the front cover. And let's move on to the last album I have. So the last album I have to show is the Traveling Wilburys Volume 1. And this is a supergroup with Bob Dylan, Jeff Lynne, Tom Petty, Roy Orbison, and of course George Harrison. And I think some of the big hits off this album are Handled with Care and End of the Line. They're pretty great songs. I love you get to see each of their guitar cases. Here's the inner sleeve included. And here's a label with the picture from the front cover, and the other side has all the tracks. So that is it for this video, and I thank you so much for watching. I think one major album you might have seen missing from my collection is his album Brainwashed, and I haven't come across that, so I do hope to find it someday. Also not on my collection are his first experimental albums, Wonderwall music, and also Electronic Sound, and also I do hope to come across those, but I'm not really in a rush to get those. So again, I thank you so much for watching. I do have other Beatles and Beatles related content up on my channel, so I do hope you do consider checking those out, and I do hope you subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much.